Imagine trekking through seemingly endless Arizona deserts, encountering tons of super toxic creatures, all while searching for an animal that you and your friends have dreamed of seeing in the wild for years. It's a creature that spends 90% of its life underground, and is one of the world's very few venomous lizards, the Gila Monster. Along the way, we'll run into some other insane animals.
He's so fat!
Visit a desert oasis.
Oh my gosh, it's like a colony.
And try to find Ben's dream snake.
I wanted to be go for snakes so bad.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be an A-tron.
But first, we're heading to Phoenix Herp Society, where they have all of Arizona's venomous reptiles, as well as lots of rescues, and even an alligator that was found living in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, so he's been living there for 18 years. He's quite vicious. He's the one that we say is most likely to kill one of us. Yes, Clem, I'm talking about you. One bite and you did that. That's right.
Oh, hang on, Ben's strong. Hang on, you can't hand it to Ben.
The first one that's actually
While that is really cool, what we're really here to see today is their Gila Monster.
So this is Chubby Muffin.
That is a great
It's hard to believe this, but he was way bigger when this one came in. The people that had him illegally were actually feeding him steak. Still kind of chubby, but we were fortunately able to slim him down a little bit.
Look at him
He's
go!
walking.
That's so cute.
Really glad we're getting a hands-on moment with one of these guys. Wild Gila monsters, while they are fairly plentiful, they're an elusive species.
Now that we've gotten a hands-on experience with a Gila Monster, we're heading out to the Sonoran Desert to find a wild one. As I said before, these elusive reptiles spend most of their life underground. So if we wanted to find one during the day, we would need to find water. And to get there, we'd be taking a UTV through miles of vast deserts. This was absolutely the best way to travel through open desert. And on our way to the Oasis, we found an old mine shaft that had something very interesting living in it.
Come check this out. How many are there? Have a look. There's a Oh damn, there's a oh my gosh. It's like a colony. Get low. Get low. And watch for rattlesnakes. Oh, this is so freaking cool. There's about 50 pallid bats up in this cave right here. Ooh. These are actually a really common species out here, but it's just so cool to see them. This is what they spend the day in. This is like a little mine shaft entrance where somebody kind of mined out, and it actually created habitat for the bats, which is really crazy. And it's insane to me that this tiny little mammal, this thing has some wickedly sharp teeth, and it knows how to use them, which is what Zach was saying. They are a huge rabies vector. Yeah, you don't want to pick one. They have the dentition to bite you for sure.
As you go up in elevation, the temperatures begin to cool, and everything gets greener. And if you go up just a little bit higher, you hit the montane pine forests. But that's not where the Gila monsters live. Eventually, we made it to the oasis at the base of the mountains. And while we didn't find any Gila monsters there, we were definitely on the right track, staying in canyons near water.
Oh, a lizard. Whoa, scrub lizard. Holy. He's going up. He's faster than you. Why aren't you moving, Ben? Are you gonna try to get him?
After a long trek back from the mountains, we decided to head to a different canyon for the night. This was actually going to be Ben's last night in Arizona with us, so we were really hoping to find a Gila monster while meeting up with local reptile finding legends Rob and Nick once again. Gila monsters are mostly nocturnal this time of year, so our odds are definitely a lot better at night for these guys, as well as a lot of other desert reptiles.
What? Where? Oh.
Is him?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's a very special reptile.
Rob, what's your favorite part about tortoises, dude?
You know, the coolest part about them is I don't see them all the time. Because when it's dry, you know, they just go away, so.
What do you think, Rob? You think it dug that, or do you think it's using a natural rock crevice back there?
You know, I think what happened is Zach chased it back.
Oh, you're right.
Bro, what is this Zach slander? Called out for no reason, I didn't do anything.
Well, here we go. We've got a black and white faced long-nosed snake. This is actually the coloration that I've actually seen the most. Typically when you think of a long-nosed snake, you think of the ones with the orange, the white, and the black modeling. This looks a little bit like a California king snake. Got that black and white band, a little bit of orange, just a little tiny bit of orange. But once you look at that face, it's unmistakably a long-nosed snake. Great looking snake, not our target. Really common species out here. And another look at one of my favorite little common snakes out here in the desert. Little black and white phase, long-nosed snake. Cute little guy. While we weren't finding any signs of Gila monsters, lots of other animals seemed to be on the move, most likely because of the recent rain.
It's a grasshopper.
My brother in Christ.
Every time we find Spencer, he's looking at a grasshopper.
Not only were we seeing reptiles, but also some of the creepy crawlies that call the desert home.
No, come here. Good catch. Whoa! Oh, it's big.
I mean, it is a giant desert hairy. That's pretty neat. This is the largest scorpion that we get out here in Arizona, the giant desert hairy scorpion. Now, this is actually a really big one too. Ooh, not gonna blow on it. I think one of the largest individuals that I've seen out here. At maximum size, they can get up to around 5 inches long, which is pretty crazy. But despite how large they are, they're actually not that dangerous. And in fact, their venom is comparable in toxicity to the venom of a honeybee. Now, that's not to say you want to get stung by them, because if you had an allergic reaction to their venom, you could still be in the hospital. But for the most part, these are harmless scorpions despite their size. Now, the name giant hairy scorpion actually comes from this array of sensory hairs that really are covering this arthropod's entire body. And that is its primary sense that it's using to detect the world around it. They look really bizarre and kind of otherworldly. And this is actually the first one I think I've caught by myself in the wild. So if you're someone out there who's a little bit freaked out by scorpions, don't worry, I am too, and I literally just picked this one up off the ground. So there's no reason to fear these guys. They're totally harmless. That's a really cool find. I'll just set it down right here and let it go about its night. Thanks, little friend. Happy scorpion. Thank you.
I'm free.
Bro,
Wow, look at that.
he's leaving. No, Godzilla's is leaving.
He's so big. He's like on top of the... Dude.
It's like cane toe size.
Oh my God.
He's so fat. Dude, this is like genuinely the biggest toad I've ever held. Holy crap. Y'all take him. Y'all take him. No, look, get y'all's experience. Look at
He's
that.
the same. He's like too big to fit in my hand almost.
This is a pound of toad. He'll jump, so be careful.
Wow.
Oh my God.
How strong he is.
He's beefy.
Jeez.
Look what he was sitting on. He was sitting on the manhole cover. Dude, give me a cheeseburger. So, I don't know if you guys know this, but you do, it's legitimate. You do hold a giant toad like a cheeseburger. So like, if you're holding them to face you, you hold them kind of like this. And then if you're holding them away from you, you also hold them kind of like that. So just a little bit of toad knowledge for you. That is real. Sonoran desert toads are also referred to as Colorado river toads, and I'm getting slimed, as you can see. So look at this mucus here. They're very slimy, actually. I know how most people are like, oh, it's a toad. You know, it's bumpy and dry. These guys are not. Even though they are a toad, they are totally slimed out, which is really gross, honestly. After hiking for a while and finding some really cool animals, we decided to call it a night. But we still had a long drive back to bring Ben to the airport. And right off the highway on our way back, we saw what Ben had been hoping to see alive the entire trip.
Yo, look at it.
That's your gopher. There's your gopher.
Yeah!
About a 4 foot.
Yes!
About a 4 foot gopher.
Diving back.
About a 4 foot gopher.
Yes! First mission focus.
Stop the back.
Woo! Oh yeah, you got
Every whole thing, start to finish. That thing is sick, dude. It's
Yeah,
huge.
no, he's so sweet. Oh, come to me, my child.
All right.
So long I've waited for you. And we definitely saved that snake. He was gonna get whacked.
Yeah, he was heading to the road when I ran up to
Can you
him.
imagine if we got this as a DOR 1 minute later?
Have a look at that big, beautiful non-venomous snake. That is a gopher snake. These guys get big. They can actually reach lengths of 6 feet in length. This one's probably about 4, but he's sweet, sweet. Look at that thing. Hasn't tried to strike, hasn't hissed at me, hasn't done anything. Normally they're gonna hiss and mouth gape a little bit. A lot of blotching. You can kind of see the similarities between the gopher snake and the pine snake. And a very closely related species, the bull snake, lives a good bit north of here. Now they're mostly going to be eating rodents, but they'll sometimes eat birds and things like that. They're a pretty generalist desert snake species. They are a little bit more diurnal during the cooler parts of the year, but this time of year, they're virtually just going to spend all their time underground until you get a little bit of rain, until you get a little bit of weather movement rolling in. We're going to go ahead and put this snake back, but that is awesome. Big old Sonoran gopher snake. You absolute beauty. After releasing the gopher snake, we made it back in time for Ben to pack up for his flight.
Zachary Gray, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry for a little bit of the lack of sleep crimes.
No.
We got this small
We got everything, dude. We literally got everything. You're just gonna get the Gila now.
Exactly.
I love you guys.
It was pretty bittersweet. We had had a great adventure, but since Ben's time with us was cut short, he wouldn't get a chance to look for Gila monsters with us.
Sad. I'm looking for
grasshoppers.
He's looking for grasshoppers, guys, but I'm sad.
Life finds a way.
Life does, but I sure don't. All right, to heal us. And so, with no time or sleep to spare, we were back out in the field. But today, we were in for a treat. The Amphibian and Reptile Conservancy, or ARC, just happened to be hosting a massive Bioblitz while we were in town, and me and the crew were ecstatic to join.
Hey, I'm JJ Apodaca. I'm the Executive Director for the Amphibian and Reptile Conservancy, and we're here today for the Matthew Rothstein Annual Memorial Bioblitz.
Arizona Game and Fish is out. We're going to have a night hike led by someone from the Fish and Wildlife Service. We've got the Tucson Herp Society, who's going to be bringing out some more herps for folks to see.
Anything that y'all would hope to see or have happen at the Bioblitz today?
I can say things they magically appear, then let's go for a heloderma.
Let's go.
Walking around the daytime.
A Bioblitz is a gathering of different biologists in an attempt to find, identify, and study everything in a possible area. Not only would we get a chance to look for Gila monsters, but we'd also get to meet up with many of the people working with these animals in Arizona, and many others had traveled across the country for this event. After getting adjusted to the new terrain, me and our smaller squad of Spencer and Cole set off to find some desert animals. And it didn't take too long for our first venomous reptile to make an appearance.
All right, let's give him some space.
Woohoo! It's an adult, probably a little male. You can stay. Stay. This is a nice one, little dark male Atrox Western Diamondback rattlesnake. He was just moving quickly through this whole area. They're kind of done for the morning because once it heats up, they dip into burrows in the little shaded area. Yeah, that's why I'm not going to have him out too long. I'm just going to put him back because this is a lot cooler than this.
Yeah. And you don't worry about him jumping at you?
No, so his strike range is 2/3 his body length. This is not a very mean one. We've run into ones that will strike at anything you put near them. You'll run into some that I could do this and it would whack it. It just depends on the individual.
He's doing an awesome job. Your training is going well.
Unfortunately, while this was happening, I was missing out on some excitement. Another crew had actually managed to spot a Gila monster, but we just didn't make it there in time, and he went back underground to beat the heat. Also, not long after that, this photo was snapped of a desert tortoise, and it is just the best photo ever taken. I love it. After a brutal day of desert heat, we all decided to take a break, get some food, and talk shop for a while. ARC and everyone who joined for this event were really great, and I could really feel the passion and love for wildlife coming from pretty much everybody here. When nighttime finally rolled around, we had gone from a small handful of us looking for Gila monsters to everyone in this entire event looking for Gila monsters along with us.
U.S. Forestry Service, they ain't got that dog in them.
With so many eyes, it was only a matter of time before somebody spotted something.
That one. Nice.
Spencer, what you looking at there?
The grasshopper.
Look at the little model buddy. Oh, what's that? That's top speed. Oh, it's a little fat one. It's a little gravid female, actually. Look, have a look at that. I'm not gonna hold it for too long. She's got 2 little eggs. We're gonna go ahead and let you go. Reptiles are on the move. This is fun. The conditions were absolutely perfect, and after some pretty amazing encounters, it finally happened. So Spencer, what are we about to go and walk and see?
So I just got a call from our buddy Matt, and he just told me that they have a Gila monster.
They do.
And we are walking double time to go meet him at the spot where the Gila monster is. This is gonna be nuts.
You see him?
Yeah, he's right so under here. See that patterning?
Oh my goodness.
And now I can die happy. I've been waiting so long to see one of these things in the wild.
Yeah, if you put your hand next to it, dying happy might come sooner than later. Unlike venomous snakes, Gila monsters pretty much salivate their venom and have to chew to inject it into their victim. The bite can be extremely painful, but it isn't considered lethal to humans. Luckily, these animals are so slow and placid, you'd have to do something incredibly dumb to be bitten by one. Especially considering they're not an animal you're supposed to pick up in the wild. This is actually the first wild Gila monster I've ever gotten to look at. And it's actually pretty hard to see up in this brush. They're very cryptic, and believe it or not, that patterning, which seems like it would be very obvious, they actually blend in pretty well. I'm really surprised. Once you spot them, they stand out like a sore thumb, and they don't even look like they belong in the environment, but that patterning works really well. Now, the Gila monsters are having a great year because the quail season, the quail nesting season, actually ended up happening twice due to heavy rains in the spring, and their favorite thing to eat are quail eggs and lots of baby quail. They'll also raid little rodents' nests and things, but quail is their #1 food source. So a healthy population of Gilas indicates that there's a lot of quail in the area, and they're going and eating the eggs and eating the chicks. I really didn't think we were going to get to film one of these animals. I really didn't. What an iconic animal. Gila monsters are one of 2 very distinctive venomous lizard species that live out in the west. You can have Mexican beaded lizards further south, but then down here you end up with the Gilas. Now Gila monsters are a little bit more grounded. They stay close to the ground, close to the brush. Really, they're not much climbers. The beaded lizards like to climb a little bit. The Gila monsters don't really do that. Something I really didn't think we were going to get to film. We're going to make sure to get lots of shots of this animal before we head out, but we're really glad you got to see this Gila monster. We're going to go ahead and leave him alone now, but what a time, what an adventure. Gila monster in the Sonoran Desert. Unforgettable.